Hey, I'm Allison.
And I'm Savannah.
We are two best friends who met and bonded over books.
We love reading across all genres and chatting about stories together.
Join us on our next bookish adventure.
Hi guys, welcome back to Fabled Friends. We're here with our January reading wrap-up, so everything that we read in January of 2026. And we also want to know, before we get into things, is what is your favorite book that you read in January? So comment that below, and also feel free to follow us on GOODREADS, where you can see what we're reading in real time, so we keep that very updated. And without further ado, let's just get into it. Okay. So our first read of January, well, my first read, was a buddy read that we did together.
Finally got a buddy read.
I know. Honestly, it's kind of hard with us being mood readers sometimes, and then just reading books. I only like to read one book at a time usually, so it's kind of hard to find that time, but this time we made it work. We read Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. So I'll give my thoughts first, and then Allison can give her thoughts. With this book, it's very unique in that you're dropped into this really strange, unsettling world, and you don't know what's going on or where the world is. It feels kind of fantasy, and you're really seeing everything through the narrator's eyes. And I would classify him as an unreliable narrator. He just does not know much. He's trying to figure out stuff, but he's just so entrenched in this world, and that's all he knows. So this whole book feels like a puzzle for my brain. The whole time I was trying to figure out where he was, what's the purpose, what is he in relation to everything. And so it was really engaging in that way. And I feel like with this book, overall, I was expecting a little bit more of an emotional payoff that I didn't get. However, the intellectual payoff that I got was massive. This book blew my expectations out of the water as far as intellectual things go. From where it starts to where it ends, I would have never, ever guessed. It's just so unique, and yeah, it's just unapologetically itself, I would say. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it was just a good brain puzzle book.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
No, I agree. I would say whenever anyone sets it up, they say a lot of the same things as you, especially about the beginning, and you're just kind of dropped into this world and you're like, what is going on? So I was a little intimidated to read it because I was like, is this going to be so confusing and hard? But I felt like it was very accessible, even though it was still what is going on, but you weren't confused and it wasn't hard to read.
Yeah.
So I really liked that. I also feel like the same thing, the emotional payoff was a little lower than I was expecting. Intellectual payoff was super high. I feel like you and I had a ton to talk about it that we can't talk about on here because it's all spoilers.
You really should go into this book blind.
Yes, and read with someone or talk to someone that's read it, because there's a lot to talk about the end. There were a lot of things that I took out of it that were different from what you took out of it, but both felt very true to the story too. So there's just a lot to it, which I appreciated. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of themes that you could take from it, and it really depends on your life experience and how you view the world, which I really like. And I think that's why it's universally liked, because so many people can relate to it. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, and I would say this is probably one of the most memorable books I read this month. It's still just in my mind.
Oh yeah.
So some of these others I'm like, it's getting a little foggy already, but this one will stick around for a while, I'd say.
Yeah, it's one of those books that will blow your mind. Yeah. When you read the plot twist, it'll make you rethink everything that you just read, and I love those kinds of books.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So highly recommend that one.
Yep, it was a good one.
A great read.
I'm happy to have read it.
Yes. My next book that I read, I reread The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I reread this for my book club, and I first read it when it came out, so it's been a couple years since I read this, and this time I did the audiobook, and I feel like it didn't hit as hard. I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I'm a little picky on audio, and the audiobook narrator was a little whiny at parts for me personally, and so I don't know if that influenced my experience, or I don't know, just my whole experience reading this, I was just really stressed. And frustrated because the main character in this, I don't want to say too much because this is also a book I feel like you should go in blind and it'll just take you for a ride. But the whole point of this book is that the main character is trying to uncover these secrets, these family secrets. And you know that some of the other characters know the answers, but they refuse to tell the main character because they're trying to protect her. And I think during my reread, it just kind of frustrated me a little bit more because I wanted her to know and I wanted them to tell her, even though then like that would not like ruin the plot, because that's the plot, is her figuring out things for herself and like having her own ideas, like forming her own ideas without other people influencing those ideas. And so I understood why Adrienne Young did it, but I think this time during my reread, I was just more frustrated than anything. So that definitely was not as fun for me. But I always love Adrienne Young's writing. It's just very atmospheric and immersive and beautiful. So I still enjoyed the reread. It just didn't hold up to that like super high standard that I had when I read it a couple years ago. So
Kind of a bummer.
yeah. Oh well, that's
Yep.
okay. She has so many other books that I love too, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Well, and there's certain things about that book that don't
One of
usually
the
work
tropes,
for you
yes.
anyway.
One of the tropes in the book, which I don't want to say
Yeah.
because some people say it's a spoiler, just does not work for me.
And I think,
Ever.
like, since you were pleasantly surprised and you didn't know what was coming, you were there for the ride the first time, and the second time
Yes.
you're like, okay, this isn't my favorite thing.
Yes, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. My next book, I lent out my copy, but it is In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. Sarah Adams is like a comfort romance author for me. I just love her books. I am a little bit bummed. I mean, it's fine. It is what it is, but she has gone away from like the closed door, like low language story that she used to do. And I just think she did it better than anyone. So it's fine. She's going into her new era of writing and it is what it is. And I still really enjoyed this book, but that is just fair warning. If you are familiar with Sarah Adams, her earlier books are closed door, not very much language. And then these newer ones that are coming out are the opposite. But she makes it really easy to skip if that's not your thing. So it's still doable if that's not your thing. Anyway, along with that, so this was in the fourth one in her Rome, Kentucky series, and it follows all the sisters and, well, a brother and then the sisters in the family. So this was the last family member, and she is kind of like the black sheep of the family, the screw up of the family. And it's kind of just her story. And you know, for pretty early on in this series that a family friend is probably going to be her love interest. There's hints throughout. So you're experiencing that. I loved that he was just gone for her. That's my favorite
Yes,
trope.
that
So that really worked for me. I feel like if you start a Sarah Adams book and you're immediately turned off by the way she writes her female main characters, I think that she writes her female main characters similar to how she is. I follow her on Instagram and it just seems like they're that quirky, cute little, that's how she writes and that's how she is. I love that. I think that makes you crazy.
I hate it.
So I feel like you know pretty quick if this is gonna work for you. But yeah, other than that, it's not that serious. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. It was a good finale to that series, and yeah, happy to have read it. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. My next one was Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. This is the third book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy, part of the Realm of the Elderling series. That is 16 books?
Something like
14
that.
or 16. I think it's 16.
Yeah, I think so.
This is the second trilogy within that series. So this one wraps everything up, and it was such a satisfying ending. It was so good. I think that Robin Hobb excels in her character development because one of the characters in this series, in the first book, I hated her. She was my least favorite character. And in this book, she is my absolute favorite
Love
character
when that happened.
ever.
So good.
Like, it's just so good. So this whole series is just kind of like pirates, and you have like trading ports, and there's lots of themes of like family relationships and how those change, and like slavery and magic, and I don't know, it just, there's a lot going on in these books, and there are multiple POVs, but it just feels so immersive and so real. I feel like I really can go to these places in this book and meet these characters, and I sincerely loved my experience reading this series. And so when I finished this one, I was so sad that it was done, but I think that later on in the series we'll see these characters again. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming since it's a big long series that connects, we'll see them again. And so I'm just holding out hope, because yeah, the characters, the world, near and dear to my heart. So good.
Amazing.
So good.
Amazing. Love it. Okay, this one, the selection by Kira Cass.
Take us back to middle school.
I know. Everyone has read this like 10 years ago. I'm super behind. And unfortunately, that was to my detriment, because I think I would have liked this as a teenager. It was not for me, no.
No!
And so many people love it and like look back on it fondly. The way I look back on like, well, Hunger Games held up for me. I don't know.
No, yeah, but
some
other
of those
books,
other like
Cinder or like,
yeah, all of those like
yeah,
early, when we were in
the ones you look at like 8th grade.
Yes,
And look at like just
middle
the
school,
big, huge,
high school. Yes,
dystopian.
the favorites of all. This is one of those. So everyone talks about it's kind of like The Bachelor meets the Hunger Games kind of deal.
bit, yeah.
I would say that is accurate. My daughter's almost 10 and she reads pretty high for her age. So she's reading like 13, 14-year-old books. And I wouldn't hand her this quite yet. It's not, there's no on-page spice, but there are some makeouts and then some conversations about wanting that. And so for my 10-year-old, that wouldn't work, but maybe when she's 13 or 14, I'd hand it to her. I'll have to see. But I didn't feel like that level of spice fit with like the angst and the teenager, because I feel like everything else in this book she could read totally fine right now, and it didn't quite match up for me. But the angst about killed me. It was too much for me, and I was just like, girl, get it together. But I just felt like an old lady reading. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm too much of an adult now, I guess.
Yeah, you can't get lost.
I know.
That.
So yeah, it wasn't for me, but I do understand why people loved it, why it's beloved, and why a lot of middle schoolers would still enjoy this one. I'm not a big love triangle fan, so there's that too. So I think ultimately the FOMO got me, and this just probably wasn't for me. So sorry.
And the fact that the main character's name is America.
That was annoying. I did not like that.
It's like the author thought, oh, I love the name America. I wish I could name my child America. And then I thought,
maybe better not.
maybe better not, and I'll name a book character that instead. And
Yeah.
it still flopped.
They did call her Mare a lot. And then whenever America was thrown in, I was always like, jump scare. Like, what? What are we doing there? Okay.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, it wasn't for
That's
me.
the only thing I remember about that book.
That's too funny. Did you finish the series?
I can't remember.
I spoiled
I
the rest of
read
it for
that.
myself.
You did?
Uh-huh. I was
I
like, I
would
want to know what
do.
happens. And I got a detailed summary, and I was like, oh, book 2 would have murdered me. I couldn't do it.
no.
So I'm really glad I didn't finish it.
I know I read the selection when I think I was pretty old. I can't remember if I was a senior in high school or in college, but I did not read it at the intended audience. And yeah, for me it was the same.
Yeah,
Not
okay.
very good.
All right.
Yeah. My next book was The Sun and the Starmaker by Rachel Griffin. And this one, I'm not sure when it comes out, either in February or March. I think in March. So this is Rachel Griffin's newest book. It's a standalone. It has a very nostalgic fairy tale-like feel to it. It feels like just all of those like winter fairy tales, like kind of feels like A Court of Thorns and Roses at parts. It just has that vibe to it. It's a YA, but I would say it also falls into the new adult category for sure. And yeah, I found that I enjoyed it. I think the plot is a little bit quieter, a little bit more like a cozy fantasy plot. It's more focused on the relationships of the characters rather than any big plot stuff happening. But there is enough tension to draw you throughout. There's a time limit going, like they have to figure something out before time runs out kind of thing. So that helps pull you through the story. And I found at the end Rachel Griffin didn't shy away from really hard things happening that brought a lot of like big emotions out, and so I totally cried at the end, which I was not expecting to, and makes me happy because I like to feel really big feelings when I read. So yeah, I really like that aspect of it. I feel like, I love standalones so much. I'm always looking for fantasy standalones. This one felt a little bit incomplete to me as a standalone. I didn't feel like the world was fully formed. I felt like the side characters were there for the plot, not because they were actual people. And I felt like the romance was a little bit rushed in this one, but it didn't super deter me from enjoying the book. I still liked it for what it was. And I think mainly high schoolers would enjoy it because it is like that little bit of an older character, but there's not a lot of like detail that they have to keep track of when it comes to the world and the magic. So I thought it was a great time. The cover is absolutely gorgeous, and so I'm really glad that the story inside matched like the beautiful cover. So yeah, I had a good time with it. It was good.
Awesome. Love it.
And impressive that Rachel Griffin wrote it while recovering from a major concussion.
Oh.
Like, she went through a horrible concussion, like couldn't look at screens for months.
Oh my gosh.
And then as she was recovering her brain and had like these migraines every single day, she was still writing this book. Like, she would just write like 50 words a day, 50 words a day, and then like try to increase it. So her author's note is pretty special in that she's like, she said, I literally did everything I could with this book. There is nothing more I could have given to this book. It is the best version of what it will ever be because of how hard it was for her to write it.
I think I'd just be like, well, I'll write again in a year.
Yeah,
like,
seriously. Major respect. So she did a great job with dealing with that.
I love when an author's note like kind of ups a book for you a little bit.
Yes.
You're like, okay, yeah.
Greater appreciation.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I have one of those coming up.
Nice.
Okay, my next one was Simply More by Cynthia Erivo. I love Cynthia Erivo.
Oh, her memoir.
Yep, I saw that and I was like, yep, got to read that. So it was really short. I listened to it. She reads it, so I really wanted to hear it in her voice. Yeah, I think it's like a 4 or 5 hour audiobook. Really short. I would say that's honestly my biggest complaint because I could have used more detail about her life. She did give, I feel like it seemed like she didn't want to share more details. It almost seemed like people wanted her to write a book. She was down, but she didn't want to, she wanted a little more privacy, I think, maybe.
Well, I think she's like that in her interviews, right?
Yeah.
She even tells Ariana Grande that at one point of like, thank you for letting me share, because she's just a private person.
So I'm like, okay, I'll take what I can get, but I will take whatever she'll give me kind of thing. So yeah, there were things that she talked about and it was very interesting that I'm like, oh, I would have loved to know a little bit more, but that's okay. But the whole time too, it's almost like a pep talk. She's like, if you're feeling this way, maybe try this. And I'm like, you're just so nice. Like,
and in her lovely, kind voice. So
I was like, okay, thanks, Cynthia. Like, I will do that. So the whole book, I was just like, oh, that's a great idea. So I just was like, she just felt really kind and like, you know, if you're going through this hard thing, like, this is what I would suggest. And I'm like, oh, that's really nice of you. So that's what the overall vibe of the book was for me, and I really enjoyed it. So,
nice.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I read a memoir too this month, and I had the opposite experience. I read Awake by Jen Hatmaker. And I had never heard of her before this book, and I think that's maybe why I didn't enjoy it as much, because the whole time I was listening, I was thinking, why do we need a memoir about her experience? I think the whole experience is kind of centered on her divorce and her relationship with religion and kind of reworking her life and thinking things in a different way and looking at her life in a different way. And I think it really connects to some people. Like, it connected to Allison. She loved it. But for me, I recognized that it was important for Jen Hatmaker to write it, and important for her closure, maybe her friends and family, and like their experience with her. And so I recognized that it was important for them. I feel like, though, as like a person that has never heard of her before, I was just wondering why I needed to, like, what purpose was there in it for me, and I just didn't find any, which is a very personal thing, because I think a lot of other people have found like value in this memoir. I just did not. I was just very annoyed and frustrated with her, and just, I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into it in case you loved it. But yeah, I just didn't like her and the way she was reacting to things. And then I also just didn't like the writing style. I listened to it on audiobook, and I just found it a little bit scatterbrained, and it just jumped around to so many different time eras and different modes of thinking, and it wasn't very linear to me. And so I just kind of got lost on like, where are we at now in her like thought process timeline and like the history and the flashbacks. I don't know. It just felt kind of random and stream of consciousness to me. And I wonder if it wouldn't have if I have read it instead of listening to it. And then, yeah, I think that's all. It just wasn't for me. I didn't need it. But yeah. I'm glad I tried it. But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't for me.
I actually talked to someone recently because she listened to it as well. And she was like, I liked parts of it, and then parts of it I really didn't like. She's like, but I think if I met her, I think I'd find her insufferable. And I was like, I think so too.
Oh, I totally would.
I think there were many parts of her book that I was like, yeah, she seems insufferable. She seems like someone I wouldn't necessarily jive with in real life. Yeah. But some of the concepts that she brought up were so impactful to my personal life, even though I'm not going through a divorce like she is or whatever. It was completely, like, we have different life scenarios completely, and yet some of the things she brought up changed my life so much that I was like, I love this book. It was so good. But also the criticism I'm hearing from you, from this other friend that I've seen on Goodreads, I'm like, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it. So
I think she just has a very strong personality, and she has very strong thoughts about religion and about money and about people
and politics.
And that I think that she doesn't leave a lot of room for if you're wrong or if you're like, she's just very like, I'm right and everyone else is wrong. That's the vibes
a little bit like bullyish in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. She just, it's not a very like opening and welcoming type vibe I'm getting from her.
But I went in like, okay, this story sounds crazy. I want to hear it. And so I was able to like not have that impact me, I think.
That's good.
And so I was able to like, wow, her story is interesting. Yeah, we don't agree on these things. That's fine. And then I was like, okay, these pieces, I needed this book at this time of my life for this. And so it was great for that. For that purpose. Yeah.
I'm glad it was for you. Yeah. I'm really glad for anyone that it helps, because I think there's some important things in there.
Yeah.
I just think it's not for everyone.
Totally not. So, all right. My next one was First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. I feel like when this one came out, so many people were talking about it and loving it. And I've had it on my radar forever. I finally picked it up and I really, really liked it.
Really?
Thrillers are really hit or miss for me. And I don't read them very often. They're not my favorite genre, but when one works, it really works. And this one just really worked for me. We follow a girl who is down on her luck. She's had it rough in her life, and she's just like doing the best to make ends meet, to make life work out. And then as you're following her, you're like, wait, what is it that you're doing to make things work? Wait, what is going on here? And so as things are unfolding and you're like, okay. And so you're wondering what is true and what is not. There's also a tiny bit of a romantic element in here that you're unsure if that's, there's a lot of questions until the end. And it kept me reading. And I rated it 4 stars, but I keep thinking about it and I'm like, maybe it's like a 4.5. I don't know.
Ooh,
so that's
better with time.
Yeah, and I don't normally feel that way about thrillers. Usually I'm like, okay, I don't remember that one. I read it last month, but I don't remember. So I really enjoyed this one. Pleasantly surprised, and it seems like the hype for me, it worked. So
yeah. Nice. My next one was The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. This book came out this month. It's her debut novel. I had no expectations going into it, except for the summary sounded amazing. And holy smokes, was this book a hit. It is unapologetically its own. It's kind of genre defying in that it is like a fantasy for sure, but it has a lot of historical elements to it. And you also think that it's a romantasy from the way that it's marketed and the way that it looks, but I would not classify this as a romantasy. This book, Also doesn't fall into any of the trope traps, I like to think of them. Like, I like tropes, and I like knowing if a book has a trope, 'cause sometimes that will make me pick it up. But this book just doesn't care about tropes, and it's just a story, and it just flows from one thing to the next, and you can't really see the author like checking boxes of tropes.
Let's throw this trope in here because people like it.
Yes. And that's my major thing with romantasy right now, is that you can just almost order the tropes in the book and then just check them off as you go.
Put the trope in if it works with the story and it's how it's meant to be, but do not put it in because you think people want it.
No.
Then it's obvious.
Right.
It drives me nuts.
So this book does not do that at all. Like, it's just its own completely unique thing. This book also doesn't hold back on the hard things. There's a lot of pain and fear and horror and brutality in this book. So definitely check trigger warnings, content warnings if you have sensitivities to that. But I wouldn't say that this book feels depressing. It does have a overarching feeling of hope, and it doesn't dwell on the dark and hard things for the sake of getting a rise out of the reader. Or just making it feel like that. It has those horrible, horrible things, but it doesn't like dwell on them. So I really appreciated that about it. My favorite thing about this book is that it is a villain origin story, and I don't feel like it's for a specific person. It's kind of just everyone. It's how far are you willing to go for the greater good? What are you willing to sacrifice? Even your own personal morals, your own like friends and family. I don't know. It just deals with a lot of really, really hard questions. And I love when a book feels like that there's no really good guys and bad guys. It's just everyone trying to do the best they can for what they think is the best thing. So yeah, I had the best time reading this. It's a standalone too. So you feel completely satisfied and fulfilled finishing this book. I was blown away. It was so good.
I can't wait to read
I can't wait to reread it.
Yeah.
I already want to reread it. It's so good. Highly recommend.
I love exploring that moral ambiguity in a book.
Yes.
And then you can see it in real life, but you don't have to explore it in real life.
Yes.
I love that.
That's my favorite.
All right. The next one that I read, I listened to The Compound after you talked about it by Ashlyn Rowell, and it was so propulsive. Everything you said. It was like reality TV on this compound. You don't even know where. You can kind of get the vibe that the world's not going well, but they're just there and they have to, complete these tasks to be able to earn frivolous things, and then also food and water and just how people react and how people respond, and what it does to different people and different personalities. There's a little bit of a sinister vibe in there, but then it's nothing too crazy, but it's just the vibe throughout was a lot of fun. And I think I listened to it in a day.
Yeah, it's a quick binge.
Yeah, I just I need to know what happens. So I really, really enjoyed that one. So I co-sign on that one.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
That book is a wild ride. If you need a palate cleanser, do that book.
Yes.
'Cause you'll get through it quick.
Cleanser.
You won't want to put it down. That one's great.
Yep.
My next one is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. This one I listened to on audio, and I highly, highly recommend that route because Meryl Streep narrates it, and obviously she's a great actor, and the amount of depth and tone that she brings to these characters is unmatched. It was so masterfully done. I am so glad that they got her to do this, because also the story relates to being an actor. So it's about a woman, and it's also during COVID, so her daughters are with her on their farm, and she's telling them the story of her coming of age story when she had a brief stint as an actor and was doing this theater play with a now famous actor, all fictional. So her daughters just want to hear this story, and so it goes from the present day with her daughters, but then flashbacks to this summer in Michigan when she's doing this play and having this relationship with this actor guy. And it sounds boring, but I would say that it is more of a character-driven novel. There's not a lot of plot going on, but the characters are very like fleshed out and very just feel very unique to each other, and the relationships are also fascinating to see like where they go, where they end up. So I just really, really enjoyed it. I feel like the audiobook did bring it to life for me. It felt very like heartfelt and nostalgic, and the ending was beautiful, and yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it. I also feel like I need to go to Michigan and go to the lakes and the cherry orchards. Just the setting in this book was so tangible. I loved it.
Like another character.
Yes, it really was.
that.
It was another character. And yeah, I love books about like being an actor and like fame and that kind of like Hollywood lifestyle. And this book didn't really have like the Hollywood vibes, but it had them in like a Michigan country setting, which I thought was really cool. So yeah,
Different.
I loved it.
Have you read any other Anne Patchett?
No, this is my first.
You're gonna have to read her
The Dutch House?
The Dutch House, because Tom Hanks narrates it, and he did an amazing job.
Okay, I didn't know that.
To listen
I'm
to
gonna
that
have
one.
to do that one.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
I need to listen to that one next, because I've done The Dutch House.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I'll have to try that one because I love Meryl Streep.
Yes, she did such a great job.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Oh, she's amazing.
All right. My next one is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. Another one that has been on my shelf for a long time. It is my goal this year to read my shelves. And I've been doing really well.
Both of us.
Yes. So happy to
Good job.
have finally gotten to this one. Yeah, it's well loved in the book community. It's a book about books, and it definitely has that kind of cozy, comforting vibe, but then it also has a through line of grief and the struggles of life. A.J. Fikry, at the very beginning of the book, he seems like a curmudgeonly old man. He's definitely curmudgeonly, but he's only 39. He just lost his wife, and he's just like, nope, they owned a bookstore together, so he's still running the bookstore, and he's like, I'm just gonna live in my bookstore and sell books, and that's it. And then a few different things happen to him to maybe change that a little bit. And you just kind of, you love AJ, even though he's grumpy, and you just want to root for him. And then you're hearing about these stories and, bookseller things. And so it's a really sweet and tender story. And then also a little bit sad. So yeah, I really did enjoy this one, and I can see why it's a favorite of a lot of people's.
Sounds like a cozy, good read. Nice. The next one I read is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas.
I don't think I've seen this copy. It's so
like
pretty.
I think it's a Barnes and Noble edition that I got like years and years and years
ago.
ago.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
I like it.
I read this purely because the adaptation is coming out in March that PBS Masterpiece is doing.
I can't wait for that.
Yes. And honestly, I had never really known the story of Count of Monte Cristo besides that it's a revenge plot. But as I started reading it, I feel like I've seen a play maybe when I was a teenager because some things were a little bit familiar. I don't know. But I'm glad to be in the know now. So yes, this is about a revenge plot. If you don't know, Edmund, he is basically imprisoned for something that he didn't do. And so it's just about his journey of like trying to take back his own life and like get revenge for the people that did this to him. And I think my favorite thing about this book is that Edmund is like a real character throughout it. He's not just a one-tone revenge for all character. He has a lot of depth to it, and he isn't just stagnant. He's still growing over the decades as the story goes on, and that comes with like vulnerabilities and mistakes that he's making and just changing his mind on things. It's a very cool character study of where you started and then what happens to you and how you react to that, but then how you also change as the years go on. And yeah, I just thought that was really powerful, and I overall really liked it. I think that I was expecting the emotional payoff to be higher for me, but I also don't know if like my reading experience kind of hindered that. I got really confused with a lot of the character names, And a lot of the character names have multiple identities, and so it's hard for me to keep everyone straight because there's a lot of like jumping around to the point of views. And so I think that the adaptation will help me a lot with knowing who people are, and yeah, and like knowing all of their pasts and everything. But I still really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited to see the adaptation of it.
It's gonna be so good.
Yes.
All right, my last one of January was The Things We Cannot Say by Kelly Rimmer. It is a World War II story set in Poland. It is following, it's actually a dual timeline as well. So you're in the present with a family, and then you're jumping into the past, and you're trying to see how the two connect. It has some through lines and some truth from Kelly Rimmer's family. There's an author's note in this and some pictures that you'll want to read after because there are spoiler things in there. But there's a lot of truth in it, a lot of real life experience in it, but it is overall a fictional story. It is, of course, heartbreaking. World War II of stories, especially set in Poland, are just
Grim and
so
dark.
so hard. Yeah. And this one shed a lot of light. I mean, you know how awful it was for the Jews during this time, but it shed a lot of light on how awful it was for Polish people who weren't Jewish, for all kinds of people who just lived in Poland. That's it. None of them did anything wrong, and what they had to go through, and how destructive it was. This book was well done. I will be thinking about it for a long time. I started reading it, and then life got a little bit crazy, and so it was a really hard read for me. So my personal enjoyment was a little lower. I think back on like The Nightingale, and that one was also so tragic and hard, but personal enjoyment was high on that one because I think I was more prepared to read it. And this one, I was like, ooh, this is a tough time to be reading this one. But it was well written. It was well told. The story was incredible. There were parts that made me teary. It was a great book. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one.
Nice. I feel like I'm just still in my need a break from World War II era things.
Yeah. I haven't read one in a while.
That one sounds good, though.
Yeah, it was really good.
I have two more. They're really short books. So the first one is The Wilful Princess and the Piebald Prince. This is a novella that is within the realm of the Elderling series, but I don't think a lot of people know about it because not a lot of people I know that have read that series have read this one. I don't think you need to read it at all, but it gives some good insight into the history of one of the royal lines within one of the places, especially in the Farseer trilogy, which is in the first one. And it just answers some questions that I had about the world and like the politics of it. And I found that it was really fun to read while it was telling me all this information that I needed to know. I think Robin Hobb is just really good at creating believable and exciting narratives. And so yeah, I found it engaging, and I really like reading the physical copy because there's a lot of like art on the inside. Like this is the first page.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it added to the reading experience of it for me. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then my last one is Ethan Frome by Edith Wharton. This has been on my physical TBR since like college. It's one of the oldest books I've had that I haven't read. I read some other Edith Wharton in college and I really liked it, so I wanted to read this one by her because a lot of people say that this is her masterpiece of a work. And so this one is about a lonely man, and he's married to like a grumpy invalid. Like she is so annoying, but also you can't help but feel for her because she's in so much pain all the time. She's just not very nice to him. They live on this lonely winter farm. It takes place in like 1911, somewhere around there. And he starts falling for the hired girl, Maddie, because she actually gives him attention and she's closer to his age because his invalid wife is a lot older than he is. Anyways, they form a friendship, and eventually they have some feelings for each other. And so this short book is kind of just about that dynamic of all three of them living in an isolated house in the winter. And I feel like, okay, so the first part of it was 3 stars. I was like, where is this going? Well, I know where this is going. It's not going to end well. But then the ending had a complete plot twist that I did not see coming, that added so much drama and karma and satisfaction that I could have never dreamed up. But that was just so like, I was laughing out loud, and I don't think I should have been laughing, but I was so giddy at how this ended. I couldn't believe it. I really need you to read it. So
now I want to. When you were first starting talking about it, I was like, I don't know how you felt about this. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, well, that's how I felt. The first half of this was like, this is stupid. And then read the second half, and I was like, this is amazing.
Okay. I want to read it now.
Yeah, this is just one of those books that you feel sympathy for characters that you should hate, and you don't like any of the characters, but you can appreciate their motivations and why they're doing things. And yeah, that ending. There's just so much emotional depth in this book for so few
tiny
pages that, yeah, I can see why people would say this is her masterpiece, because yeah, it was unexpected.
Love it.
So
amazing. Yeah. All right. Well, that is what we read in January. As a reminder, we want to hear what you read. Favorite book that you read in January. Put it in the comments below. Like our video. Subscribe if you want to see other videos that we have coming out soon. And until our next bookish adventure, happy reading.
Bye.